Hello friends. So continuing with the chapter demography and family planning, in that last time we have started with family planning methods. We know the definition of family planning, the objectives and the classification also we have seen. Many times only question is asked on classification also. So you must know the classification of various family planning methods with examples. Now continuing with the family planning methods, the two major categories were temporary methods and permanent methods. In temporary methods, natural methods we have covered. Now today we will concentrate on the barrier contraceptives, isn't it? Now here barrier contraceptives, they are also called mechanical contraceptives, isn't it? Now these are used either to physically block the union of sperm and ovum, or they can be chemically inactivated also, isn't it? So regarding chemical contraceptives we will discuss later on, isn't it? But here the mechanical methods are very important, isn't it? And here the mechanically they are you can say working how, as I said that for pregnancy to occur, fertilization of ovum is very important, and that is possible when there is a union of sperms and ovum at the time of sexual contact, isn't it? So here these methods, whatever the family planning methods are there, they work on this particular point only, that anyhow they block the union of sperms and ovum, isn't it? So here in barrier contraceptives, again I also said that you must know that which methods are useful for males and which are useful for females. So in barrier contraceptives also three important we are going to discuss: condom, diaphragm and intrauterine devices. Now the first one is condom, or it is also called nirod, isn't it? It is used for by males. So here you must also know that which methods are useful for males or females. Now condom, it is a thin rubber sheath, isn't it? Now it is made up of rubber sheath, latex or silicone, isn't it? Which can be stretched according to the size of erect penis, isn't it? Now this is to be used by men. It is rolled over the erect penis before having sexual contact. Now this rubber sheath prevents the entry of semen or sperms into the vagina. The condom must be held carefully when taking out the penis from the vagina to prevent spilling of semen into the vagina. It is available free of cost from urban or rural family welfare centers, isn't it? So there are different qualities also they are available, isn't it? Now it is the one of the oldest and widely used method of contraception by males, isn't it? Now how it is to be used, that also we have discussed, isn't it? So here in this slide you can see that it is most widely used and it is made up of rubber latex, isn't it? Sometimes silicone also can be used material, it isn't. The instructions are there, as I said, that it is to be uh, unrolled on erect penis before intercourse, isn't it? And at that time a little space should be left at the end, so that the whatever the ejaculation will be there, the fluid that will get ejaculated, so that can spill into it, isn't it? Now most of the times, isn't it, this condom can be used along with spermicidal agents also. So chemical agents also can be used along with this, which will provide extra protection from pregnancy to occur, isn't it? And also they protect persons from sexually transmitted diseases also, isn't it? Now many times the question is asked on advantages and disadvantages of condom also, isn't it? So at least 5 to 6 advantages and 4 to 5 disadvantages you must be able to write down, isn't it? So you can see the advantages of condom, that there is no any side effect. It gives protection from sexually transmitted diseases including AIDS also. Then there is no any medical examination required, as it is required in other methods we will discuss later on, isn't it? It is easily available through the variety of commercial outlets, isn't it? It is easy to use, okay? Then it is available or it is supplied free of cost at all family welfare centers, isn't it? Then it is light, compact, easy to store, isn't it? And easy to dispose also. So it is to be properly disposed of in sanitary manner also, isn't it? Then there are no side effects, as I said, and the chances of pregnancy are also very less. It is a reliable method of contraception, isn't it? So these are number of advantages for condom. The disadvantages are there, that in some of the cases it may slip off and tear during coitus. So if low quality condom is there, it may tear also, which will increase the risk of pregnancy to occur. Then it may get tear during coitus, as I said about the quality. In some persons it may be allergic, isn't it? Most of the individuals may be sensitive to the material, to the rubber, isn't it? So there may be minor allergy also to most of the persons. Then the other disadvantage is that some couples feel that it interferes with sexual pleasure, isn't it? So this is also one of the factor of you can say sexual pleasure, which is discussed while using any family planning method, whether it is interfering with sexual pleasure or not, isn't it? Then a new condom is used for every intercourse, isn't it? So that is another disadvantage. The another important method is diaphragm. As I said, that diaphragm is for females, isn't it? So in barrier contraceptives, only condom is used by males. Then diaphragm and IUD, that we are going to discuss, they are useful for females, isn't it? Now this is also called vaginal diaphragm, isn't it? It is a dome shape, isn't it? It is used by women, isn't it, to form a barrier in front of the cervix, isn't it? And it is a like shallow cap, isn't it? So you can see the slide which is showing a diaphragm, isn't it? It is a mechanical barrier, isn't it, which does not allow sperms to enter into the uterus. Now there are various sizes, isn't it? Because one size is not suitable for all females, isn't it? So the size, it is ranging from 50 mm to 105 mm, isn't it? Now this diaphragm is to be inserted into vagina before intercourse, where it will cover the cervix region and it will not allow sperms to enter into the uterus. Now it must remain in place at least for 6 hours after sexual contact. To make it more effective, spermicidal cream can be used, isn't it? Now, after use of this diaphragm, after 6 hours, it is to be removed carefully from the vagina. It is to be washed thoroughly with soap and water, isn't it? And it must be stored properly by lubricating with the talcum powder, isn't it? And a container also must be very clean, isn't it? Now, since diaphragm is to be fitted into the vagina, therefore medical advice is very important, and it is necessary for proper selection of size. As I said that one size is not applicable for all females, and therefore the proper selection is very important. Now the advantages we will discuss first. Diaphragm, if it is used with spermicidal agent, it is very effective. Failure rate is very low with this method, and there is no any risk of any kind of contraindication, isn't it? It does not interfere with sexual pleasure, as in case of condom we have seen. It does not hurt or affect man or woman at the time of sexual intercourse. Then once it is learned, isn't it, after proper training, females can place this diaphragm in their vagina at any time, isn't it? And it is comparatively cheap. These are some of the important advantages. Disadvantages are there, which are also very important in this case. Here it requires assistance of doctor, isn't it? So here a doctor or nurse is required, isn't it, to determine proper size for proper training. Then one size is not applicable to all women is another disadvantage. It requires privacy and time to place it in the vagina, isn't it? So privacy is also very important at the time of insertion. Then it requires periodical checkup. So periodically it is to be checked, isn't it? Then it requires facilities for its proper care and storage, isn't it? That means after use it must be thoroughly washed, it must be thoroughly dried, it must be thoroughly stored. So hygiene is also very important, otherwise it may be responsible for inspection also, isn't it? Now once a year at least it must be examined for the prescribed size, isn't it? Because after 1 year some changes may be there, and again the advice is to be taken of a doctor, isn't it? Then another disadvantage is that every time after sexual contact this diaphragm must remain at place for at least 6 hours, isn't it? Then other disadvantage is that it is not possible for illiterate women, the women who are not educated, isn't it? And it will be very difficult for those women to use this method as a method of family planning. Now the last one in this barrier contraceptives is intrauterine device. You must know the long form also of this IUD. It is intrauterine device, isn't it? Now intrauterine device means inside the uterus, isn't it? It is inserted into uterus to prevent conception. Now there are many types of intrauterine devices. They are like lips loop, copper T, isn't it? We will see the, so here the slide shows the copper T, isn't it? And in copper T also there are many more varieties, but the Department of Family Welfare has recommended the use of copper T 200, isn't it? Which is to be inserted deep into the inside the uterus, isn't it? And it provides the protection from pregnancy for considerable period of time, isn't it? That means it may be at least 3 to 5 years also. So it is a small plastic or copper device placed inside the uterus, isn't it? These are left in place for 5 to 10 years also, isn't it? Depending upon the device used, isn't it? They are very safe and they work properly. Now in this also there are different kinds of intrauterine devices. So first generation, second generation, third generation, isn't it? But mostly copper T 200, as I said, is recommended by the uh, Department of Family Welfare, isn't it? So copper T is made up of polythene and copper wire, isn't it? And it enhances its contraceptive effect, isn't it? It has got tail also of nylon thread, which is you can say beneficial, and with the help of this tail it can be easily removed, isn't it, whenever pregnancy is desired, isn't it? Now after thorough examination, the copper T is inserted in the uterus by doctor or trained nurse, isn't it? So when this copper T is inserted in the uterus, it does not interfere with the sex life of the partner, of either of the partner, isn't it? And this device can remain in place for number of years also, isn't it? Now this copper T is available in ready to use pre-packaged sterile disposable unit, isn't it? Now the proper time of insertion is also very important, and it can be inserted at any time, but best time for insertion is between 3 to 7 days of menstrual cycle, isn't it? Now there are three types, as I said: first generation, second generation, and third generation. These can be you can say, we will discuss hormonal contraceptives later on, but these are about the IUDs, and many times the question is asked on note, write a note on IUDs, that is intrauterine devices. So these are made up of polyethylene material also. They are non-medicated, isn't it? They are available in different sizes and shapes, isn't it? So not only copper T, but in the form of coils, spirals, and loops also. Lips loop is also most popular, isn't it? It is made up of polyethylene and contains barium sulfate, which makes it possible to be located when required by X-ray. The loop is double S shaped and has an attached made up of fine nylon thread. Second generation IUDs are also made up of polyethylene, but copper is added, isn't it? Now copper enhances the contraceptive effect. So slowly what happens, this whatever the copper is there, that is slowly released over a period of say 3 to 5 years. So the contraceptive effect of this copper T is only because of copper. Now the variety of copper devices are copper 7, copper T200, isn't it? Then variants of T devices. These are some of the important examples which are available in the market. All copper devices are more effective and there are less chances of side effects, isn't it? Like pain and bleeding. Then third generation IUDs are containing hormonal preparations, isn't it? Which are slowly released in the uterus. Now the hormone affects the lining of the uterus and cervical mucus, isn't it? So this may affect the sperm also. Now the two types of hormonal intrauterine devices are progesterone and levonorgestrel device. So the advantages and disadvantages are also very important of IUDs. Now merits, that is advantages, they can be used for longer period, isn't it? So as I said that they can provide considerable period of time, longer period of time, and there is a protection from pregnancy to occur. Then they can be easily removed when couple wants to have child issue. Then they do not interfere with sexual pleasure, isn't it? They are inexpensive, we can say, cheap, very effective, failure rate is very less, like only 2 to 3%. No hospitalization is needed, isn't it? These are some of the important advantages. Disadvantages are some of the changes may be there, like bleeding may occur, pain may be there, isn't it? So these are some of the side effects, perforation of uterus. So these side effects, they disappear after few days, isn't it? Then it may be painful when it is either inserted or removed, isn't it? And many a times in case of females it may get automatically expelled also. So at that time also there is a risk of pregnancy to occur. Now the device must be changed at least once every 3 years, isn't it? And in certain gynecological problems, isn't it, it will not be suitable for most of the females also. That is another disadvantage of IUD, isn't it? So these are some of the important advantages and disadvantages of IUDs, isn't it? So here we have covered the barrier contraceptives, isn't it? They are also called mechanical contraceptives, isn't it? Go through the textbook and complete your notes as you are getting the questions periodically, isn't it? If you are not able to understand, repeat the video, listen video twice or thrice, isn't it? And try to understand, isn't it? And refer textbook whenever you are listening the video, isn't it? So that will be beneficial for you and you can understand the topic very easily, isn't it? Thank you.